So this man I discovered is quite the Italian speaker. We had a good chat before.
Absolutely.
So welcome, and great to see you here. Pleasure to be here with you. Maybe you could just tell us a little bit about what this project is represents from your perspective as a player. Like, what's it brought to your game on the court?
Well, I mean, we always try to do something that's helping my performance on the basketball. And that's where we always start. We always start with that discussion. What do I need to be a better basketball player? And that's the inception of these conversations. And then from that, obviously, Ava and his team and Mark, they have so many things going on in the kitchen over at Nike, from myriad of technologies that they're working with, Flyknit being the latest and greatest one. So when it came time to put in the basketball shoe, which I don't think has been done before, it was a hell of a challenge to say the least. But that's where we are. That's where we are. It's been a long journey in terms of putting it all together and making it work, but it's been a fun.
Great. So you've been trying it out, and have you noticed anything particular that it's this?
Well, yeah. Well, I practiced in it today, and actually, the thing that I was most impressed with was the responsiveness of the shoe. It's very responsive, and generally, especially for a high top, this is higher than normal, but there's no responsiveness to the high top in general. So when you're changing directions, the ankle's normally hitting the product, and then there's no give. With this, there is. So you kind of have that tactile stimulation of the ankle, but you also have the shoe that kind of gives and changes directions. It moves with you, which I think is the genius behind the Flyknit.
Eric was telling us how you were talking about how close a collaboration this has been. I've heard that this gentleman's quite a demanding customer. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about the dialogue.
No, as Mark was saying, working with Cody is intense. He has extremely high standards that he holds himself to, and he brings that the same level of intensity and demands to the design of this product, and that's exactly why we love working with him. And I think that leads to better product. But as intense as it is, we have a lot of fun too. It's you've got to enjoy what you're doing. And
we're all geeks at heart.
Yeah, right.
So this stuff is really, really fun to us. And sitting around and like going through the materials and going through the entire process is really, really fun to us. So I mean, this is what we do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of what ifs. What if we do this? What if we do? Did we think about? And it spins, and it's a phenomenal process.
Has the design evolved a lot since the first sketches, first mock-ups?
Yeah, it has.
A little bit.
You can see a little bit of the progression right there. Where we started. There's a lot of learning with the Flyknit process, and it was something that Cove and I talk about all the time. Is finding that right balance between science.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if we're sitting down and Avon goes, "Hey, so I think I kind of get the concept of what you're saying, what we want to do. Maybe if we use this material here, we kind of do something like this." And I was like, you kind of gotta, look at it sideways, and you gotta kind of do this whole thing. He's explaining to you how it looks.
You gotta squint.
Yeah. But you gotta trust the process too, because he sees things and has been doing it for so long and has been remarkably successful at it. You also gotta have a great amount of trust and roll with it and understand that we speak the same language, and he knows exactly where I'm coming from. I know where he's coming from. So this kind of grew into that.
And Mark, this in a way seems to represent like the apex of a process of finding a balance between design, science, and performance on court. Maybe you could say a little bit about that, like how that works in like finding this balance and how that affects the development of the product.
Well, in a way, there is no apex. If I could be so bold, I think there's always, we have a saying, there is no finish line, and I think there's always room to get better and better. But truly, when you work with an athlete like Kobe, who's very demanding, has incredibly high expectations, really knows what he wants and needs from a performance standpoint, he also brings an emotional, mental aspect to the design process. And there's some insights there that actually influence the design as well. You know, whether it's the Mamba or the Ninja Warrior or, you know, some of the Shark. I mean, there's things that are more qualitative and a little less tangible in some ways, you know, that go beyond the science and the measuring and the sport research. But it's blending that emotional with the physical and what we can measure. And now, with the digital technology and the precision of measurement we can get in the sport research lab, we can combine those two things at a much, much higher level. And to me, being around design for a long time, that's one of the most exciting things I've seen. I mean, just the level of the science of sport combined with the quality of the insight that comes from the athlete in both a qualitative side as well as hey, I know what I need, and this is what I need to play at my highest level. So
I knew I was okay when we sat down at our first meeting and I started talking about, you know, why I'm inspired by a great white shark and the similarities that a great white shark have with the game of basketball and how they hunt and how they attack, and kind of stealthness and sleekness and simplicity and all sorts of stuff. And they were just like, oh yeah, because of blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not a weirdo. Or maybe we're just all weird.
Yeah.
We're just all weird. But it's fun to be able to, you know, speak that language and be able to make those analogies and comparisons. Now you can carry that emotion into the design process and how things are made.
It's interesting, I mean, because this is unusually high. One of the influences that you talked about early on was boxing shoes and wrestling boots. But how do you get that close to the foot, kind of stealth-like fit and feel that gives you that proprioceptive that Eric talked about? But maybe you want to just touch on that a little bit, because that's one of the most unusual aspects of the shoe beyond the technology is the height.
Well, I look for inspiration everywhere. So, like, you know, the idea of first going to a low-cut shoe, obviously, soccer and football had a great influence on my life, and kind of looking at how they move and so forth. And same thing happened here. You know, I was with Pacquiao, watching him train and prepare for the fight, and I'm looking down, I'm looking at his boxing move, and I'm saying, man, that's, I wonder if there's something there. I wonder if there's something there. And the timing, everything just kind of matched up because, you know, obviously with the Flyknit, we have the ability to do some of these things. With the technology that we have now, we can create a shoe that's a basketball performance shoe that's really high, but that gives a lot, and that can move with you. And so, really, I just sit and think of like crazy stuff, and then, you know, I hit them up and tell them about the crazy stuff, and then they come up with more crazy stuff.
Mark was mentioning.
Still waiting for my flying shoe. Flying shoe.
I was looking at your logo symbol, the coat of arms at the entrance, and there's the mamba and the bunches of grapes from Italy and so on. Maybe you could walk us through a little bit some of the influences that were built, the symbologies that you were referencing in this project.
Well, I mean, with this particular one, with this shoe, it's the entire concept of it really is about muses, and it's about, you know, who in my life and what in my life has inspired me from since I was a kid to where I am now, and trying to figure out and watch and learn from them and some of the things that they've accomplished. And it's kind of, I wanted to do, you know, aesthetically, I wanted to do an homage to some of these people and, you know, portray or illustrate some of those inspirations in our shoes. And so the whole entire concept of doing a masterpiece, or calling it Kobe's Ninth, which obviously, you know, there's some musical scores out there. That's kind of how you define certain musical scores. And it's kind of doing an homage to some of the great things that have inspired me throughout my life, and challenging the youth to in turn be muses themselves, find muses of their own.
I'll put her in a house on the shore or on the coast or an island, and every month I'd hop on a plane to fly in and take her shopping, whatever she wants to buy it. She made me who I am, I got the heart of a lion, yeah.